What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Football Fellas podcast. We're a bit late on you this week. Sorry about it. Tyler, I said it on the podcast last week that at least one of us wasn't going to be able to make it this week. And it so happened that Cameron and I were both unable to record earlier this week. So we are coming to you later this week. We're going to double up on divisional breakdowns next week, but I am so thrilled and pleased to be joined by both of my co-hosts this time. Cameron, you are back. Welcome back after a long hiatus.
It's been a long time. Let me tell you, I wanted to be on Tuesday, but it was just a disaster. Flight got delayed. I was supposed to get in the morning. I had to work a half day, so I still worked 6 hours. Oh, it was just a long Tuesday after a long 4th of July weekend. And then, yeah, you're right. It's been a long time since I was on. So glad to be back.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back. I know we made plenty of jokes with you while you were gone. Thanks for being a good sport about it and still wanting to be friends with us and join the podcast after.
I did listen to every episode, so I was like, every time you say something, I'm like, all right, I feel slighted, but that's all right.
That's loyalty that got backstabbed.
It's whatever.
Tyler, how you doing?
Man, I'm good. I hope you guys had a great, relaxing 4th of July weekend. I know I enjoyed a nice 3-day weekend.
Yes.
But see, these kind of episodes that we're doing today, I should say, just, brighten the day a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's coming up. You're like, you know what? It's a good day today. It's
not a Tuesday. Can I add that?
It's not a Tuesday.
It's not a Tuesday. It is a Thursday. We're recording on Thursday. You will get this on Friday. Mock Draft 2.0 coming to you today with our promised guest that we have been waiting to have on for a month now because, I'll leave it at that. Frustrations. But we have our first guest coming on tonight, and we are absolutely thrilled to share that with you all. But first, before we get into the mock draft, there's some big news that happened in the NFL yesterday. Baker Mayfield officially traded to the Carolina Panthers for a conditional 5th-round pick that could become a 4th-round pick. I want to spend at least 2-3 minutes here just discussing the fantasy fallout of that because then we have a full episode with the mock draft. So Baker Mayfield traded to the Panthers. What were your initial thoughts from both of you?
Ty, I'll let you start on this one.
Oh, geez. Okay. Without cherry picking your very credible and very well structured Twitter thread.
That was a great thread.
You can also find us at FFF Fellas, if I'm not mistaken.
Only 2 F's, but that's good.
FF, right.
Just
keep going.
I tried. My initial takeaway was, what does this mean for the wideouts in Carolina? And as a DJ Moore manager, I felt a little bit better when I initially heard it, but then the more I sat on it, I was like, okay, we're going from like Sam Darnold to Baker Mayfield, right? Like,
you took 2 steps up the flight of stairs. That's about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think DJ Moore is still going to get the targets in the offense. But if people are expecting anybody besides Christian McCaffrey to really kind of like explode onto the scene this year, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I would agree. I adjusted my stats today and I didn't change DJ Moore's place at all. I think he moved up 1 spot. He's going to get similar amount of targets, pretty much the same amount of receptions. They had same accuracy stats. And I don't think his touchdowns are really going to increase. Christian McCaffrey has no effect, and I'm not expecting every big resurgence from Robbie Anderson this year. And Baker Mayfield's not going to be relevant for fantasy football. He'll be like, maybe you can spot start him if they play someone really bad, but that's about it.
The only week that you should start Baker Mayfield is week 1 because we all know that players go off in revenge games. But after that, fade to the sunset.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing with DJ Moore. I was going to pose the question of, is it bad if I don't change my projections on DJ Moore and instead just shift all my passing to Baker? Like, I just don't, like, I already had DJ Moore statted out 160 targets, right? 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns. Maybe I'd give him another touchdown or 2, but like, he's already maxed out on targets. And Baker isn't a guy that I see that's going to elevate DJ Moore much higher than where his ADP is already. He's going as wide receiver 18. Does he become top 15 now? Like, maybe, but like, I can't sit here and tell you, like, lock it in, DJ Moore top 15 because Baker Mayfield's throwing him the football. I just can't. Like, deep accuracy, yes, Baker is significantly better than Sam Darnold. Accuracy overall and everything else, Baker's still not an accurate quarterback, bottom third of the league in accuracy. That's just not something that convinces me to invest more heavily in DJ Moore now, as if he's going to be this stud breakout that everybody's waiting for. So, no, I think I agree with everything you all have said. DJ Moore, maybe a slight increase, but nothing like astronomical. And then, CMC about the same. Robbie, maybe a slight tick up. But again, it's just like I said with Tyler, it's 2 steps up the staircase. That's it. Yeah. That's all. Those are the only steps you took up, right? You didn't jump to Russell Wilson, right? So,
100%.
Any final thoughts before we get to the meat and potatoes of our episode here?
No, it's just, I mean, you look at last year, it happened with a whole bunch of different teams. Mediocre quarterbacks changing spots don't change a whole lot for those position players.
Yep. Unless if you get a star, nothing's really changing. So, cool. We wanted to bring that up, at least discuss that. But now let us get to the main event of our episode and bring our guest. Alrighty, we are back, ready to absolutely destroy this mock draft. And we have, as promised, our first guest on. He has been a friend of ours on TikTok for about a year now. Been great interacting with him in the community. My favorite thing, I mean, one of the biggest Arby's and Almond Joy advocates that I've ever met. It's gospel. It really is. Anybody who disagrees is just wrong, and it's not even worth debating. You probably know him as FantasyFootballAZ on TikTok. Max Jacobson hops on the pod tonight. Max, thanks for joining us, man.
Of course, dude. I'm ready to dominate this mock draft and show you guys how to draft from the 108. I see you guys all have top 5 picks. That sucks for you guys because I'm going to get 2 elite players. You guys are going to be stuck drafting Mike Evans in the second. So,
and we're going to be stuck sniping each other. That's what I hate.
That is true. I am not going to have that issue though, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, you're kind of on your own island, which is good. So we got a 12-team PPR mock draft: 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, tight end, 1 flex, 5 bench players. So we'll be going through. We'll be explaining some of our picks here. Cameron's at the 101. Tyler's at the 104. I'm at the 105, and as Max alluded to, he is at the 108. So we're all kind of clumped together, not so much spread out. Max a little bit by himself, but at any rate, I don't think we need to explain a mock draft any more than the audience already knows. So let's just dive right into it. Cameron, you are on the clock with the first overall pick.
All right,
no hesitation.
God, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad.
So Christian McCaffrey is historically the best player in fantasy football history. I mean, he has put up amazing years. In these last 2 seasons, his injuries have not been correlated. Like, it's not like Dalvin Cook with his shoulder. They've been different injuries. In each of those 2 seasons, he definitely could have come back week 14 or 15 each season, but Carolina was so bad that they're just like, we're not going to bring him back. So I'm not worried about the injury any more than I am with every other first-round running back, and so I might as well take the guy that I predict to be the best player.
So bad.
Or I'm too scared to have an opinion on Christian McCaffrey. Can I say that? Like, is that okay? I understand the 101, but I'm also I don't have the balls to do 101. I just don't. It's a fact.
Cameron, answer this for me on Christian McCaffrey at the 101. Christian McCaffrey, if he played weeks 14, 15, 16, and then 17, he would have went from missing 23 games to what, 15 or 16? That's still 15 or 16 games in the last 2 years. That's still only half the games last 2 years. He only averaged 4 more fantasy points over these last 2 years than Jonathan Taylor did. But Jonathan Taylor's played every single game. He has less career touches on a better offensive line with a better offense. It makes no sense to take a guy who is probably not going to play half the season because he's built like glass in the NFL.
Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor played the same amount of games to their first 2 seasons in the NFL. and then McCaffrey started getting hurt his 4th season. So I'm not I think Taylor has the same amount of likelihood of getting injured as Jonathan Taylor does.
Or you think Taylor has the same amount of injury concern as McCaffrey?
Yeah, I think any running back does right now.
No, how?
Because
how does that make any sense?
Because McCaffrey wasn't getting injuries that were consistently coming up. They were different injuries every single time, and so that's why I don't think it's one thing where he goes into the season you're worried. I'm worried about his shoulder. I'm worried about his ACL because there's not one thing. So I think it's just it just comes down to playing football and how you get hit. So you got to have a little bit of luck. So that's why I'm not concerned about McCaffrey.
We could argue for 20 minutes on this.
We totally could. This
for sure.
Christian McCaffrey just needs to be a segment in everybody's podcast where they just state where they're at, and everybody is right because there's the upside to McCaffrey, but there's also the I don't know if I actually want to touch him until the 5th overall pick.
Yeah,
and that's also true.
I mean, he should either be your 101 or he should be pretty much outside your 1st round. It just depends on what stance you take. Because if you think he's going to stay healthy, he should be your 101. But if you don't think he's going to stay healthy, then he shouldn't be really.
So you just don't touch him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But why would you not just take Jonathan Taylor and then go trade for Christian McCaffrey and get more on top? You're just losing value.
I probably could, but I really think that he's the best player in fantasy football right now. So I want the best player in fantasy football on my team.
There you go. Valid.
All right, there it is. Tyler, you're on the clock. 104. What's on your mind?
Well, this pick was it's a lot easier now because I was really worried that the guy that I'm going to take wasn't going to be there. But since he's still there, I guess I'll just snag Austin Eckler.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Austin
Yeah.
Eckler. I mean, he's 27, aging a little bit, but I mean, he's got PPR upside. I find it hard to think that he won't be right around the top 5 somewhere this year. His PPR floor keeps him so safe.
I was worried that it was going to be Derrick Henry as the running back there at 4, and I was fully prepared to go Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson there instead of Derrick Henry. But like I said, that decision was made for me by Team 3 taking Derrick Henry. So
yeah. So Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry went before that pick. Tyler went Austin Eckler. I have nightmares about drafting at the 105. I'm not going to lie, because this is the point where I'm looking at taking a wide receiver. I look at Dalvin Cook. He's so good, but he has that lingering shoulder injury, right? And he does get an upgraded offensive coordinator, which some people think he takes a step back and want to fade him. I don't think I'm ready to do that yet. Najee Harris, all sorts of different things being said about his workload, but I think he's still going to be fine too. But I mean, I just look at Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson, and I know what I'm getting with both of them. It's so tempting to take one of those two here, but I think I'm still going to take running back, mostly because I know I can find value at wide receiver later. So I am going to take my 4th highest ranked running back, which is Dalvin Cook. Cooper Cupper. Wow.
Cooper Cupper.
Cooper
Oh my
Cooper
goodness.
Kupp, Justin Jefferson.
It's been a long day. Maxer is on the clocker. What do you think of Max?
I think it's a pretty easy pick for me. It's actually not Najee Harris though. Even though I'm a Steelers fan, I love Najee. I think he's a great player. I think 70 receptions from last year of him is not realistic to expect that again.
Right.
Because there's no Big Ben. I think he still has a lot of reception upside, but they said they want to dial the workload back a little bit. I think if you go from 100% of what he had last year to 90, he still is top 5 in total touches.
Yep.
So I'm not worried about overall workload. I'm just worried about reception upside. I'm also worried about the offense. I'm worried about the quarterback situation. I'm worried about how good the Steelers will be because they're not very good. We are not very good. The offensive line is horrible. Added no pieces to it besides James Daniels, I believe is his name, from the Bears, it's the Bears. They weren't good. So I'm going to take Joe Mixon. Are you a Bears fan?
Oh, no. I was just going to say, you were disrespecting the Vikings legend of Mason Cole. Don't forget about Mason Cole.
Yeah, so this actually turned out really well for me. Jamar Chase, Najee, Adams, Diggs. I think that's too high for Adams and Diggs, personally. I love Diggs, though. I think he has wide receiver 1 overall potential, but too high. Kamara is also too high there, obviously, with the suspension. He probably wouldn't go that high in a real draft, so it is what it is. We have the bots picking, so they'll take him. But this worked out really well. I'm going to get DeAndre Swift. I mean, it's a guy who is one of my only 3 players that I can see fitting my running back 1 formula that I've discovered and come up with. So I have two guys that could finish top 5. Two guys that were each top 7 in points per game last year. It's just a matter of fact they can stay healthy. So I'll get 2 really good running backs and look for a receiver and tight end and all that later.
Yeah, it's crazy to me how far DeAndre Swift is falling in mock drafts. Like getting him at the 205 in a 12-man at the 13, 14, 15, 16, 17th overall pick.
Yeah.
And he has top 5 upside. Like that's
ridiculous.
I'm taking DeAndre Swift at the 1-2 turn, if not early.
Yeah. I've advised a lot of like my followers to get late picks in this year's draft so they can stack like Najee, Mixon, Dalvin Cook, Swift, like 2 of those 4 running backs, because you can get 2 of those guys with like the 108, 109, 110, 111, 112. And like getting Swift in the second round is like such a steal. What it feels like is how we got Eckler in like the early second last year. That's what it feels like for this year.
100%. That's exactly what it feels like. That's 100% agree. I think I said when we had made a DeAndre Swift video a while ago, and I had said if he's not the overall running back 1, he's Austin Eckler this year. Like you are getting an insane value on him. So 100% agree. We're huge Swift lovers here. Josh Allen, never take a quarterback in the second round. Tyreek Hill. This is where the first snipe of the draft is going to happen. I am going to take another running back here. I'm just not thrilled. I could go Debo. But again, Debo, his value is so volatile with Trey Lance at quarterback. If Jimmy Garoppolo is at quarterback, maybe you could talk me into going Debo higher. But there's so much volatility in his projection this year. AJ Brown, I don't even want to touch. Mike Evans is a little bit interesting, but I'll stack another running back here. I am going to take Aaron Jones, who I have projected as a top 10 running back. Tyler, was that out of frustration? Because that's exactly who you were going to take. I know it is.
Stupid. I'll pay you $5 after this to give me him.
Buy me a Caesars and it's a deal. I'll trade you to him for whoever your pick is. Pick Leonard Fournette here and I'll trade him.
Don't you gosh. Leonard Fournette is might be on the back burner. We'll talk about that later.
Sure. Okay, all right. Okay. We'll talk about that later. Ty, you're on the clock.
Man, this is really between 2 players for me. Mike Evans feels a little early at the late second. AJ Brown, I'm not touching. Debo, I'm not touching. I'm not going to take Keenan Allen because I already have a Chargers guy, and I don't really want to force myself into a Charger stack if I don't have to. So this comes down to Mark Andrews to get positional, to get the positional value and really the wide receiver 1 in Baltimore, or finish out the running back stack, because the way that it's looking, I don't really want to mess with the running backs after this pick. So I am going to be going with the running back that I have in my top 10.
Ooh,
and the man that has been getting straight up disrespected all across fantasy football, that is Mr. Ezekiel Elliott.
At the 209?
209.
Is that one of those, though, where you just don't think he's going to come back to you in the next round, so you just go on and get your guy and then take the board as it comes to you?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's fair. I can understand that a little bit more, because I would agree. I think that's a little bit early, but when you have another 6 picks and Cameron sitting there knowing how much, I know he's somewhat in on Ezekiel Elliott too. Go on and get your guy, make sure you get him and let the board come to you. That makes sense. I can understand that. Debo Samuel, AJ Brown, Cameron. What are you thinking here? I'm sure you would have loved Debo.
I'm really thinking Patrick Mahomes here.
Stop it. Stop it right now. No, we're not joking. Stop joking. This isn't funny.
I'm really between 4 guys right here. And it comes out of Mark Andrews, Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, and T. Higgins for me. I think they all have really good upside. I'm kind of leaning Leonard Fournette just because, it's a long way to come back on a running back for me. It's a long wait. And so I don't know how that'd work out. So that's kind of where I'm leaning Leonard Fournette there. If I take Fournette, I don't know if I necessarily want to take Evans as well. So I'd probably go T. Higgins. But Mark Andrews is really hard to pass up, like Ty was talking about, with that positional advantage. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to take Leonard Fournette, and I'm going to try it and go Mark Andrews. I usually don't take a tight end this early. I usually punt till the last round and take my Gerald Everett. But I'm going to try it. It is a mock draft transfer, so I'm going to take Mark Andrews right there.
Max, you had thoughts on Leonard Fournette. You said he was a back burner, kind of a pick for you.
Yeah, I've been super high on him, like so incredibly high on him over the last 6 months. I was like, I think the only dude who like was some people to draft him in like the 8th, 9th, 10th round last year, and like that was one of my biggest hits. So I love Leonard Fournette. He got me a lot of credibility, but like I just can't ignore the fact that he looks fat. Like I cannot ignore it. Like I know we all saw the picture of him at training camp, and there was a video. Did you guys see the treadmill video? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Yes.
It's like I just can't ignore that he literally looks like he's 260. Like
Yeah.
Like he could cut it down, he really could, but like a 26, 27-year-old running back with a crap ton of career carries who's also overweight, like that just like is such a red flag to me. He is going like late second though. Like he's a great RB2. I think like with his receiving upside, he could be phenomenal, but like he's dealt with a lot of injuries and now he's obese. It's like, is he gonna be hurt? It's like it's just scaring me a little bit. I'm sure I'll get over it because I'm sure he's gonna slim down.
Yeah.
But like it's just concerning that he looks that heavy. Like I don't know if I don't want to be fat shaming this guy, but like you know what I mean? It's like it's just a little concerning, you know? Like
Right.
For sure.
it's kind of like James Harden. He's like James Harden right now.
Yeah,
It's
but-
literally James Harden.
That's if we're going basketball, that's a perfect comparison right there.
He's
That's
just got the
perfect.
body bag.
It's like super talented, like a great fantasy player, should be a high pick, but like you're always worried, like is he gonna be on the field or on the court because he's fat? Like
Yeah. No, that's and they drafted Rashad White, who is just looming in the midst, waiting to take over.
it was a great receiving back. He was easily the
Yes.
best receiving back in college football. So it's like that. What happens to like Leonard Fournette's receiving value if say like he does get hurt and then but for some reason or another Rashad White comes in and he gets a lot of receiving work? I'm like, oh, we should use him because he's actually really good. Which I don't know if I think he's really all that great. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's still a 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick, running back,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
But like he could get some carries after Leonard Fournette goes out with an injury. Then it could be like a split backfield. So I don't know, but I'll probably still take him in late second.
Yeah, late second feels like a fine value. I don't think you can go in the first round, take a wide receiver, and then feel good about taking Lenny as your feel great about taking Lenny as your running
I don't
back.
hate it though. I don't hate it.
No, not at all. I mean, again, when you have 2 running backs and positional advantage at tight end, I think that's fine.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, Tyler back on the clock here. 2 running backs in the first round. Are you going like ultra hero running back and taking another one?
Oh, should I?
No,
This is an obvious pick here. I feel like.
I feel like it
Yeah.
is too. Yeah.
This is none other than Mr. Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Yep.
Getting wide receiver 1 in Tampa. This dude is going to be top 10. Safest floor one of the safest floors, I should say, amongst all the wide receivers. Yeah, easy pick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
easy pick with Godwin probably missing at least 4 to 6 games to start the year would be my guess. That's a no-brainer.
I agree.
I'm back here. It's Keenan Allen or T. Higgins. They're back-to-back in my projections. And here's the thing. Keenan Allen, he's the 140 targets, right around 1,100 yards, 7 touchdown kind of guy. You know what you're getting every single week. T. Higgins is also the guy that I could see exploding to be a top 10 wide receiver this year. So the real question is, do I want to go bigger upside or do I want to take consistency? I mean, and Keenan Allen's getting up there in age. T. Higgins going into his 3rd year. I'm leading T. Higgins, but this is like, again, this is where I have nightmares about the 5th pick. Like, I don't know who, like I'm stuck making so many difficult decisions that I haven't made full opinions on. I am going to take T. Higgins there. I like his upside more than I do Keenan Allen's with Mike Williams in his offense. I know Jamar Chase is in Cincy's offense as well, but like T. Higgins was wide receiver 9 tail end of last season when coming back from injury. So I'm thrilled with T. Higgins. If I could take 2 running backs, end up with T. Higgins as a wide receiver 1, I'm normally very okay with that.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts, Cam Akers, Max, back to you.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty easy, right? Like I'm taking Keenan Allen.
Yep.
I have 2 guys on my team that have experienced injuries in the last 2 years, being Mixon and Swift, and I get a guy who's like a pretty surefire hit for 14 to 15 really elite games. So I like that for me. I'm back on the clock after James Conner, Mahomes, Herbert, Kittle, Deontay, Waddle, Montgomery, and Terry McLaurin go. I would have liked to get Waddle there or Deontay, maybe even a stack with Herbert and like give myself some upside come playoffs. But I don't love taking quarterback early. There's really no point. If I can get like Matthew Stafford in like the 10th, like there's the difference between him and Herbert will be like 2 or 3 fantasy points a game. So I'm not going to screw myself and take a quarterback early. The like obvious pick here could be like Darren Waller and like really stack every position for me. I really don't don't know if that's what I'm leaning at yet. I see a couple really solid players on the board too at the running back position, being like Breece Hall is a good value, ETN, Dobbins, Jacobs, like even Antonio Gibson's like someone who like I would entertain as a RB3. I think there's a lot of really good value here. I really don't like Waller. He's like really low in my rankings, but I think that's from like a pure value standpoint, like getting an elite tight end is really valuable, especially in a 12-man league like this. That's what gives you that like positional advantage over your league mates. So I think I'm going to take Darren Waller, but I don't love it though. And I'd be looking to move him early on after a couple big weeks, I think.
If you didn't take Darren Waller there and he fell to me, I was totally going to take Darren Waller. I'm drafting so much Darren Waller, and it's mostly because in 12-man leagues like this, it is for that positional advantage and knowing I can find the value at wide receiver, I feel like is so deep, at least on sleeper, whereas some of these wide receivers are going, like I know I can find a wide receiver too that I'll be semi-confident in where I can get the easy positional advantage at tight end. So I really don't mind that pick, even though he's lower in your rankings. I'm perfectly okay with that pick. I like that. J.K. Dobbins, Lamar Jackson. I feel kind of stuck here because I could go wide receiver to pair with T. Higgins and beef up a little bit, but I'm very slowly creeping up on Breece Hall and to just solidify 3 really good running backs right away. I think I might do that. Just knowing who I can get at wide receiver 2 later, I think I'm going to do that instead of reaching down on a DJ Moore, Michael Pittman. I want to solidify my running back. So Breece Hall is my next highest ranked running back, so I will take him there. I mean, Alex Caruso, he's releasing all these great rookie running back stats. 9 out of the past 10 years, rookie running back has finished top 10, top 15, I believe it is, somewhere in that range. So.
I also discovered that, and I may have done that a while back. I don't think it has much merit for this year, though. I really don't think Breece Hall finishes top 10. The probability is high because of recent years. But like I said in a video like 2 or 3 months ago, I was like, this will be the first year in a long time that there hasn't been a running back that's been really good as a rookie.
Yeah, no, and that's not necessarily like a surefire lock. Breece Hall is top 10, but like, fair to say it's not out of his realm of possibilities.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd say it's fair. Like I see the only way that Breece Hall finishes top 10 is if like he has some sort of receiving upside, which he doesn't with Michael Carter there. And also like we haven't really seen like Zach Wilson be a huge like throw the check down guy, throw into the flat. Like he is a air it out like F it we ball kind of guy with a huge arm, right? So like he's one of those guys. So like I don't know if I'd even like trust Breece Hall if he was the RB1 with no Michael Carter, but obviously way more upside. And Michael Carter is one of those guys who like isn't all that talented. So like we'll see Breece Hall have every goal line carry too. So
yeah, the fact that people are intimidated by a 4th round running back who normally any running backs taken after the 3rd round are just kind of left for dead if they get somebody better on the team. The fact that people are concerned about him is just laughable when Breece Hall is clear and away the best wide receiver or best running back, excuse me.
No, yeah. And it's not even close either. Like his metrics in terms of a pure athlete and production in college are like all-time great level. So when you have like a guy who broke NC college football records and you have a guy who is an elite rusher with elite vision, elite balance, is a receiving back in college that we saw him have some flashes of that. Like he has a skill set of an every down back. And you have a guy, Michael Carter, who was hurt last year. This reminds me a lot of like Jonathan Taylor, his rookie year with like Nyheim Hines there and Marlon Mack. It's like, it's the same exact situation. They traded up to get him in the early 2nd round when he really was a 1st round pick talent guy, but running backs just don't go early. So it's the same situation. They're really similar talent wise. They're really similar in how they play. Breece Hall doesn't really have the speed that Jonathan Taylor does, but it's like the same situation. So he's a great dynasty buy for sure.
Oh, 100%. 100% agree. Tyler, back on the clock. What are you thinking here?
Man, I could go Michael Pittman here.
We know what you're thinking.
Yeah, we're all waiting for it. We're all waiting for it, and we're all waiting for another 5-minute debate.
It's just a bad pick.
I know it is, and I'm actually not looking Michael Pittman, and I'm not looking DJ Moore.
Really? There, I'll let you make.
Psych. I'm going DJ Moore.
I was gonna say that's the safest pick there.
I know that Baker doesn't dramatically like increase DJ Moore's value, but I've got a safe wide receiver with Evans that can offset all the off weeks that DJ Moore has. I'll just take the wide receiver 1. Yeah.
That's. I mean, DJ Moore is. I mean, I don't want to say he's a surefire bet, but he feels like he has one of the safer floors at that point, and what his upside can be.
Yeah, I feel like the floor is like really like pretty safe. Like it's like 1,000-yard, 60 reception floor with like 5 touchdowns. But I don't think the ceiling is all that high though.
No,
in my opinion.
no. Yeah, the ceiling doesn't, like, so many people are ready to jump on it being top 12. We discussed this before you hopped on, Max, of like the amount of people who are like DJ Moore unleashed. It's Baker Mayfield. Can we just calm down?
That TikTok was ridiculous. I can't.
Can I just say, like, I am glad you like we're on the same page there, because it infuriates me. I'll leave it at that.
I should be careful with what I say.
Yep. No, right there with you. Cameron, you're back on the clock after Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne.
Well, I'm going to take who I think is the best player on the board right now, Mr. DK Metcalf.
You need a wide receiver.
I do need a wide receiver. I understand it's Drew Lock. I understand it, like, he's going to be a guy that I can't watch play, because it's going to be like OBJ was last year, where he's just going to have wide open touchdowns and Lock misses them by 15 yards. But I still think that he is good enough where he's going to have some pretty good games. And so if I'm going volatile at wide receiver, I might as well keep it up and go with my next favorite player, Mr. Mike Williams. Mike Williams was great in the beginning of last year, and I understand that he had it was a rough stretch. But what gets me excited is that Week 18 matchup against Las Vegas, and it just showed that Justin Herbert has a lot of faith in him when it counts. He had 17 targets in a must-win game. And so looking to this year, I think that they pay him $20 million a year. He's just going to take another step forward in that offense, and he's going to have some really big games. So I'm going to take Mike Williams there.
He might be the single most undervalued player in all of fantasy.
Yeah,
hands down. That's like one of the other narratives we are going to just push relentlessly until people probably want to strangle us, is you are not valuing Mike Williams enough in fantasy, because
100%.
Like, he finished wide receiver 13, and when people are like, "Oh, he's just too volatile for me," we just don't want top 15 wide receivers on our team anymore. Yeah. Like, that's what I say to that. It's absurd. So,
yeah, I look at it as it's like getting Tyler Lockett 2 years ago in the 5th round. Every single time we did it, everyone said it was a bad pick, and ended up being pretty good for your team. So that's kind of the way I'm viewing Mike Williams right now.
It's not a bad comparison. Antonio Gibson, Jerry Jeudy, Tyler, back to you.
Cam, you're going to be a big fan of this pick.
Yes.
I'm going to snag Cortland Sutton.
Over Michael Pittman, really? I thought for sure you'd go with Pittman if he fell to you again.
See, here's the thing. I think Sutton has red zone upside, and Michael Pittman just does not have the same red zone opportunities. You're going to have Javonte, Melvin Gordon, who knows what. Some people really think that Albert O is going to take some red zone stuff, or I guess I totally just went against Cortland Sutton, didn't I?
I was wondering.
You're talking yourself in circles here. You made the pick. I can just make my pick and we can move on, because I know who I'm taking here.
Yeah, let's speed this up.
Yeah, we'll speed it up. I want a safe wide receiver too. I'm going to reach down the board to get him, because at this point it's running backs, tight ends, and there's a few wide receivers in between. Amari Cooper, I don't want to touch with the uncertainty with Deshaun Watson, Chris Godwin. 4 to 6 weeks, I don't really want to mess with that. Allen Robinson, there's still players I like better. Marquise Brown, Michael Thomas, too many question marks. I just want the safety, and I value the safety that this pick is going to be so much, and people just want to continue underrating him. I want Brandon Cooks as my wide receiver too, because I can just plug him in my lineup. I don't want to watch Texans football anyways, but I know he's going to get me 12 fantasy points every single week, and I am very okay with that for my lineup. So I am going to go Brandon Cooks there. Michael Pittman, Amari Cooper. Max, back to you. What do you think?
I'm going a little like off the rails with like a strategy that I usually like don't buy into, which is like a quarterback early. I'm actually not going to take Joe Burrow. I'm going to take Kyler here.
Yeah, that's good value.
I have a reason for that, which will be my next pick. And that's going to be Marquise Brown when he falls to me.
Oh
no.
That's just a heartbreaker. That's just a heartbreaker, because that's just a heartbreaker.
I'll cut it out of the pod. I can remove the pick.
You
Cut
can
it out.
clip that. You can clip that. You're good. You're good. So yeah, what I meant to say was I was going to stack him with D-Hop, and I'll get DeAndre Hopkins there. That's what I misspoke. I meant to say D-Hop, not Marquise Brown. That's probably a reach on D-Hop, and that's fine. I mean, he's missing 6 games. He's gonna take it to court and argue that he should have less. Which, if it really truly was unintentional of him taking those drugs, then he probably should get less because he's got such a clear track record. I think he's an elite player when he's there. He has elite touchdown upside, and now that Marquise Brown is there, I think he stretches the field for him, meaning that Hopkins will have more like PPR upside. He'll have more reception upside because the yardage upside is not quite there anymore. But you gotta remember, like the Cardinals are gonna be bad this year. They're not gonna be. They're gonna be an average team, like at best. Yeah. So they'll be down a lot of games. I like Hopkins' value there. That was my intentional stack. I didn't want Marquise Brown.
He didn't say anything. He didn't hear anything. I mean, and the thing with D-Hop too, when he comes back, you're getting a solidified top 15, if not top 12 fantasy wide receiver.
Yeah, and I think with like a format like this of like 2 receivers that I'm starting, like I can definitely get like multiple receivers in these next couple rounds that like I will feel good about throwing my wide receiver 2 slot, even though it's not phenomenal, because I do have DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon. Like I have a stacked running back core. I have Darren Waller as a top 5 tight end in fantasy. I have Kyler Murray's top 5 quarterback. I have Keenan Allen to like carry the load. So like because I'm stacked at tight end and quarterback, I can afford to take a guy like D-Hop.
Yeah, 100%. Damian Harris, Clyde Edwards-Helaire off the board next. I just want to grab another wide receiver. Dalton Schultz is sitting there, and I am so tempted to take Dalton Schultz just to have a solidified tight end on my roster. But after going 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds, I want to shore up my wide receivers for sure before we kind of get to this point of like I'm throwing darts at wide receivers. I want one more solid wide receiver on my team. I'd rather throw a dart at a tight end, honestly. My next highest ranked wide receiver is Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, it's a guy, he's top 20 upside. I shouldn't say upside. He could easily be top 20 this year. He has top 15 upside. And to get him as my wide receiver 3 after T. Higgins, Brandon Cooks, I'm great with that. I'm loving that pick. Tyler, you're on the clock.
I would love Dalton Schultz here. But we are going to hit such a steep drop off of running backs.
Yep.
That I have to grab a running back 3. I'm going to grab AJ Dillon here.
No.
I mean, the man finished running back 23 last year, and I don't think it's, too far of a stretch to say that he could finish in the low teens this year, that like 17, 18, 19 range. And, I mean, I'm not going to deny the uncertainty that comes with Zeke. So grabbing in a running back like AJ Dillon kind of offsets that for me.
That's another thing. AJ Dillon is never a player where you're like, holy crap, I scored AJ Dillon. But he's going to put up borderline running back 2 numbers, whether it's like right above running back 2 numbers or like he's right on the fringe of being a running back 2. To have that as a running back 3 on your team, I think is so valuable this year. Especially like you said, when the dip gets so low. Dalton Schultz, Ken Walker. It blows my mind that Ken Walker is going ahead of Rashad Penny in drafts, and especially in the 6th round. That makes me sick. Cameron, you're on the clock.
Well, originally my plan was to go Adam Thielen here because I thought DeAndre Hopkins would fall to me as well. I think Thielen will have a great start to the year, but he is getting up in age, and I don't trust him to finish a full season, full steam ahead.
Right.
I think he'll be fine, but I was hoping, then I got D-Hop coming in week 6 to kind of take over that. Then D-Hop went, so then I was really hoping that AJ Dillon would fall and I'd get a solid RB3, and then of course that doesn't happen. So I'm going to take Kareem Hunt here. Even with the uncertainty in Cleveland, they're going to have to rely on the running backs, just to move the ball because Jacoby Brissett's just not going to do it. I am tempted. Usually right here, I'd go Rashad Bateman, but already having Mark Andrews, I don't need 2 Ravens pass catchers on my team. Even if I believe in Bateman, I just don't want that because that will end up being a headache. Yeah. I like Thielen here, but I'm actually going to take the shot on Juju.
Ooh, interesting.
Making a little resurgence. I mean, there is a real possibility he's the wide receiver 1 with Patrick Mahomes. Not the best pass catcher, but wide receiver 1. Right. And if you're a wide receiver 1 for Patrick Mahomes, you got to produce a little bit. So
a little bit.
I'm going to take the shot there with Juju.
Yeah, I like that. I think people are going to start creeping up on Juju once they kind of get over the Sky Moore fever. I mean, he's a talented wide receiver, but he's a rookie wide receiver, right? Juju is the most seasoned player they have on that team. That wide receiver room is full, but Juju, I would say, is the best wide receiver there. So I don't mind that pick. Darnell Mooney, Jalen Hurts, Tyler, you're on the clock.
I am really, really tempted by Adam Thielen right here. But I am going to go for probably my favorite stack that I've done so far. I'm going to grab Mr. Tom Brady, stack that with Mike Evans.
Nice. Yep. Like that pick a lot. You can't go wrong there. Yeah, man, we're all talking about Adam Thielen. I've got 3 wide receivers, though. I don't need to, like, at this point, I can't play Adam Thielen if I draft him. There's no point in me doing that. So I like the depth I have at my running backs and wide receiver. So I'm really looking quarterback at this point. 2 names that are popping out: Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott. I mean, honestly, I'm just going to take my next highest ranked quarterback, and it is Russell Wilson, who I have as my quarterback 8. I'm expecting a nice little resurgence from Russ in Denver. Full seasons he's played, never finished lower than quarterback 11. Happily, we'll take that. I think easy top 10 lock this year, no questions about it. Chase Edmonds, Drake London. Max, back to you. Got to shore up on wide receiver a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I want to comment on Tyler's pick.
Yeah.
Like, Brady there is just ridiculous. I mean, like, Brady finished higher than Patrick Mahomes last year. And Patrick Mahomes was just picked at the 310. Like, you just got a guy who had more points than Patrick Mahomes. This is just numbers perspective, right?
Yes.
More points, didn't lose Tyreek Hill 4 rounds later. It doesn't make sense at all. So, yeah, this is like a pretty easy pick for me. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and take Treylon Burks. I think people are low on him because he has asthma. Like, he's had asthma for a while. Like, it's not
right.
It's not like he just got asthma right now. It's the same thing. Like, I'm not comparing him to Jamar Chase. It's the same thing as last year, where like Jamar Chase was falling in drafts because people saw him drop some passes in preseason. Like, Treylon Burks has the same skill set as AJ Brown. He's filling AJ Brown's shoes, and he has so many open targets on an offense that needs to throw the ball more. So yeah, it's pretty easy for me. My next pick is actually really easy for me as well, to be Rashad Penny, because he is the RB1 in Seattle. So I get a really solid RB3 and wide receiver 3.
Jerk. That's who I was going to pick. It's 100% who I was going to take once it came back to me. So after Max took Rashad Penny, Gabe Davis, Hunter Renfrow. I mean, this is the range where you just throw darts, basically, because there's not a lot of people in this range that I am super thrilled about. And I don't know how many of these players are actually going to make their way back to me. That being said, there's really only one guy left on the board who I have as a top 10 tight end, and I just want to solidify that position. Again, DeAndre Hopkins is going to miss 6 games maximum, right? And when he missed last season, Zach Ertz was one of the best tight ends to have in fantasy. So I am going to take Zach Ertz here just to lock down the tight end position. Tyler, you're on the clock then. What are you thinking?
Zach Ertz. That's what I was thinking. Goodness gracious. There's, again, no one here that I really am like, awesome. I would love to take him.
Right.
And I may actually just have to reach down the board a little bit for this pick. But I'm going to go for the guy that can just ugly volume his way into relevant.
Don't you dare.
Maybe not. Okay.
I just talked you out of a pick.
No way. Go get your guy, man. Don't let him sun you like that.
Yeah, I'll go get Christian Kirk.
Ah, you jerk.
I don't even like Christian Kirk. I thought you were talking about somebody else.
No, I mean, like, there's not really any other. I mean, Ayuk maybe, but like, I got burned by Ayuk last year. I thought about Robert Woods, and he misses time, but I don't know. I think I feel most secure taking Christian Kirk over some of those other receivers.
For sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because like I could reach down and go get him, but like I don't want to take him in the 8th round if I don't have to. That's just my instinct.
It's just not good value. It's just not good value. Like it doesn't matter if he's the wide receiver 1. It's he's not a good receiver in the NFL. So yeah, I don't mind it. It's like, go get your guy or whatever. He's your wide receiver 4, his upside. But it's just like, he's not talented. That's the bottom line.
I'm in on Christian Kirk. He's so tough to draft this year because there is that downside. He's like, oh, shoot, $18 million to play for the Jaguars. That really gets me going, right? So Devonta Smith, Dak Prescott, Cameron, back to you.
Well, I need a quarterback here, so I'm going to take my next highest ranked quarterback, which is Matthew Stafford. I can't stack any of my wide pass catchers because it's Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson or Drew Lock. So 3 of them are gone, and one of them sucks. So looking at wide receivers, again, there's just no one that really gets me going. But I think I'm going to take the shot with the Michael Thomas's rehab being a little iffy. I'm going to take the shot on Chris Olave. He's my wide receiver 4 at this point, so I'm okay with that. Obviously, I'm not in love with the pick, but that's kind of, I feel like, where we're at right now.
Yeah, this is the range where you just don't love anybody here, but you also kind of have to pick and choose who you like and who you want at what point. So, that makes sense. Tyler, back on the clock after Tyler Lockett and Brandon Ayuk.
Man, oh my goodness. I'm just going to, no, I can't do that. I really can't convince myself. I'm going to go down the board a little bit again. Does anyone want to trade for this pick, maybe?
What do you want for it? No. Just make your pick.
Whatever your hot and ready is that I buy you, I want it back
right.
then.
Yeah, you can just keep that.
I'll take a flyer, I guess, on Michael Carter.
It's not Dawson Knox?
So here's the thing. I was a fan of Dawson Knox last year. I had him on my fantasy team. I'm worried about what role Gabe Davis takes this year, and Stephon Diggs is always a presence, so there's nothing wrong with being the third option in the offense, but he's not I really can't say volume. He's really just a red zone guy, and I don't know how much opportunity he's going to get this year.
But like it's slim pickings for you. You got no tight end, and like out of the guys who are left, all of them are going to be touchdown guys. That's the only way you're going to score points with these guys on the board. It's like, who's a better touchdown guy on the board than Dawson Knox?
Yeah, I mean, the only other touchdown guy I thought about was Melvin Gordon, just because he's a bigger body down in the goal line for the Broncos. But I don't know. Maybe there's some PPR upside to Michael Carter this year that I'm just taking a flyer. I'm just throwing darts at this point. Like,
For sure.
I really have no idea.
Yeah, you're building up depth at running back, and Michael Carter has at least some glimmer of hope. This pick is a no-brainer for me. It baffles me that I have to scroll down the board for this guy at this point. We're talking about a guy who's going to be the wide receiver 2 for Tom Brady this year while Chris Godwin is out. It's a high volume play, and when Tom Brady says, "Hey, come join me in Tampa," dude's gonna get fed the ball. Okay, Russell Gage is the no-brainer there. Is my wide receiver 4. Dawson Knox, Melvin Gordon, Max on the clock.
Yeah, we're at that point in the draft where I feel like you guys said this a couple rounds ago. I feel like now is when the flyers kind of start.
That's fair.
Like, I feel like the guys in like 8, 9 area, like, they're not bad. Like, end of round 9 is kind of where you get these guys who don't have like a whole lot of upside, and you're just kind of hoping for the best from them, and that hopefully you can get some value. For me, like, I think this is kind of a no-brainer, and hopefully I can not jinx myself again. But I'm gonna take Aaron Rodgers and hopefully get a stack here. But like, we'll see. If the computer doesn't want to let me have it, then I won't have it.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get Christian Watson. But
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I think, and Allen Lazard's solid. Don't get me wrong. Allen Lazard looked great with Devontae Adams out. Like, the thing that Aaron Rodgers does is he makes players who are meh look like all pros when there's no Devontae Adams. That's because he's back-to-back MVP. So I don't mind getting a second quarterback there. I don't have a lot of receiver depth. Like I have Burks, Hopkins, and Keenan Allen, really 3 shaky guys. So getting another guy who's like kind of shaky is kind of, I guess, the way I'm going to attack this draft. But I have a plan for my next couple picks, and there's 2 guys I really like, and I think they will fall to me.
Sure, fair enough. Mike Gesicki, Derek Carr. Yeah, this is just such an interesting point in the draft because you are throwing darts at this point. Just looking at wide receivers, I'm not thrilled with a ton. I think I am going to go Kadarius Toney here, just on the fact that Sterling Shepard will likely miss time to start the year. It's a high upside play. We saw what Kadarius Toney could do last season. If he even makes any sort of strides forward this year and any sort of consistency, that's probably where it needs to start before it even strides forward. Let's get him on the field and consistent first. As a wide receiver 5, I'm fine taking that chance on Kadarius Toney there. Tyler on the clock.
I'm surprised you didn't go Madison there to get a 4th running back.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm an idiot because I forgot I had Dalvin Cook on my team for about 5 seconds. Yeah, that was an idiotic pick.
Scratch out Kadarius Toney real quick and just write it out.
Yeah, am I allowed to remove my player and then you can have Kadarius Toney? Here, I'll retrade you because I'm commissioning this draft. I do what I want.
There we go.
This doesn't happen in real life, kids. But Tyler on the clock.
No, here's where I'm going to grab my tight end though, and I'm kind of lucky that he's still here. He's the number 2 option in his offense this year. He has more opportunity for red zone targets. It's Mr. Cole Kmet.
That's fair. Yeah, with Jimmy Graham not there, Jimmy Graham had 11 touchdowns to Kmet's 2 over the past 2 years. That has to swing back to Kmet now that Jimmy Graham isn't there. Even if Kmet scores 4 touchdowns? Like he was 10th in tight end targets last year. I know he's a guy we're fairly optimistic on this year. Ramondre, Kadarius, Cameron, to you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about running back here. The 2 guys I'm kind of in between, Ronald Jones, because there is a more than 0% chance that he's a starting running back in Kansas City and gets goal line work. Yeah. He's not a great player, though, so that's what scares me. But there's not really any running backs like that. And the other guy is Rashad White, just as a handcuff for Leonard Fournette. Fournette is 27. He's missed a couple games each season. And like Max talked about earlier, he does have receiving upside because he is a great receiving back. So what I'm actually going to do, I've talked myself into it. I'm going to take both of them. So I'm going to take Ronald Jones and Rashad White there. And hope that the wide receiver I want is on the board when I come back. Obviously, not hoping for a ton for those guys, but just some running back depth with hopefully some upside.
Well, with Rashad White, as we just learned, if you're paying attention very closely to your drafts and your handcuffs are still on the board, you should go get them at this point, if not around earlier. So, yeah, 100%. Hunter Henry, Isaiah Spiller. Tyler, to you.
This one, I'm going to go receiver here, and I'm going to grab last year's wide receiver 31, who is in a very explosive offense, and if anyone gets injured ahead of this guy, he instantly slides in and is instantly in your starting lineups. Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, safe slot play. Have to love him.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
I love that pick. Tyler Boyd has to be, to get someone of his safety at this point in the draft is a home run. I love that. So I'm sitting here. I've got 4 running backs, 4 wide receivers. I mean, at this point, I'm just going to take another handcuff. I am going to take Nyheim Hines here, mostly because there's a plethora of wide receivers that I could see myself taking in the last round here. So I'll take another handcuff in Nyheim, but PPR upside. That's the other thing. Matt Ryan could check down to the running back. Nyheim Hines has finished as a top 30 running back in previous seasons as well with Phillip Rivers, who also like to check down to the running back. So that's very loose, reckless speculation. But again, to get a guy like that in the later rounds, I'm pleased. James Robinson, Kirk Cousins. Max, to you.
Yeah, it's like the easiest pick ever I've made all the draft. It's like Dameon Pierce. Like again, the reason why I do like a pick like this is like Marlon Mack is here right now. And I get both of them. So I get whoever the starting running back is for the Houston Texans. Now, that's not the most juicy thing ever, but it's a starting running back. Like it took me 2 draft picks to get 1 RB1 for an offense, right? Yeah. So and that's fine. I'll take that. And in these rounds, like it was between these 2 guys and Jameson Williams. And I'm looking at my draft. I'm going, okay, I have Burks, I have Hopkins, I have Watson, I have Keenan Allen. I'm only struggling at the receiver position through week 6, and I am fully confident that I'll be able to make the playoffs like with this team. So I don't need to go and force a receiver when I could have an RB1 for an offense. It just makes more sense to draft them there. There are guys who I actually wanted to get there that I don't, because this falls to me this way. But there's a lot of hype around Dameon Pierce, and Marlon Mack looked solid in the starts that he did have this year with the Colts. Like he had a couple solid carries. He was pretty efficient. Like 2 years removed from the Achilles injury, like it should be a bounce back year for him. And yeah, I feel good about that.
Yeah, no. Again, you're throwing darts at this point. If you could throw 2 darts to get 1 potential top 35 running back, right? That's a running back 3 and 12 teamers, right? That's great. I would do that with my last 2 picks. Jahan Dotson, Jacoby Myers. I'm going to get the best stack of this draft. How about Russell Wilson and Tim Patrick? No analysis. Moving on. Tyler, you're on the clock.
So right before we started recording, I go, hey, Lucas, did you know that Tyler Higbee was a top 10 tight end before he missed 2 games last year?
I said I did.
And see, here's the thing. Cole Kmet's not the safest thing in the world. So I really, really, really could go Tyler Higbee here just to, have some
insurance
flexibility. But I'm not, because there's a running back that will get at least 2 games starting this year, because the starting running back will miss 2 games. I'm going to take Darrell Williams. Chase Edmonds was relevant even with James Conner last year with PPR upside. Darrell Williams scored based off of receiving work last year in fantasy. And as my last pick, I love it.
There's a role. There's a role for him there. We don't know how big or small it will be, but there is. With no Chase Edmonds, there is a role. And again, to get that in the 12th round, I like that. Njoku, Rondale Moore. Cameron, final pick of the draft.
I'm going to go with a guy who has a wide receiver 2 came in, who I'm actually kind of high on, but absolutely stunk last year, and that's Van Jefferson. He's wide receiver 3 in an offense that's going to score a lot of touchdowns. Be my wide receiver 5. There's a chance that he could split with Allen Robinson. Like, Allen Robinson isn't for sure still going to be a thing. He could very well just be done. I do think that Allen Robinson's going to be good this year, but might as well take the flyer with the last pick of the draft on Van Jefferson there.
Yeah, I don't mind that. They're throwing darts. I think we've said that for about the 80th time. I like that pick. Let's quick recap the teams for the listeners, and then we can wrap it out here. Cameron, since you're the 101, I'll let you start us off.
Sure. My QB was Matt Stafford. My 2 starting running backs are CMC and Leonard Fournette. Wide receivers, DK Metcalf, Mike Williams. Tight end, Mark Andrews. I got Kareem Hunt at the flex. On my bench, I got Juju Smith-Schuster, Chris Olave, Ronald Jones, Rashad White, and Van Jefferson.
Love it. Tyler, at the 104, your team was?
Yeah, I got Tom Brady as my starting quarterback, Austin Eckler and Zeke as my running backs, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, and Cortland Sutton as my wide receivers and flex. Cole Kmet's my starter at tight end. And then on my bench, I got Darrell Williams and A.J. Dillon for backup running backs. Oh, and also Michael Carter. And then Tyler Boyd and Christian Kirk as backup wide receivers.
Russell Wilson at quarterback, 105 for me. Russell Wilson at quarterback. Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, the 2 running backs. T. Higgins, Brandon Cooks. Zach Ertz at tight end. Breece Hall at the flex, who I would also kind of switch out with Amon-Ra. I'd probably prefer to start Amon-Ra there for the season at least. Russell Gage, Alexander Madison as the handcuff. Nyheim Hines and Tim Patrick as some insurance picks in the later rounds. And Max, you said you're going to draft the best team and smoke us all.
It's exactly what I did. It's exactly what I did. I promised and I delivered. I went into the draft, and in a 12-team league, running backs are the most scarce thing out there. They are the hardest position to fill, and the deep position is the receiver position. There are 45 receivers that you can feel good about starting in fantasy football. I have 3 of them. I have 2 elite running backs, 2 guys who could both finish top 5. One guy did finish top 5. The other guy was top 5 in points per game. So I have 2 guys who have now great offensive lines, who are in offenses that will give them the ball a lot and have receiving upside, that have touchdown upside as well. I have a guy in Keenan Allen who's a surefire hit for 100 receptions, 1,100 yards, and probably 8 touchdowns. He has Justin Herbert at quarterback. I have Darren Waller, who I will look to trade if this theoretically was a real league, because I don't believe in him. But I'll let him get 19 targets in week 1 again, and then I'll package him for like Dalton Schultz and extra players. I went out and I got a stack with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins because you need a stack in fantasy football to have upside. I look at my receivers. It's obviously the weakest part of my team, but I feel like, at least comparing to your guys' teams, I feel like when it comes to running back, I feel like I wipe. I feel like when it comes to depth at quarterback, I feel like I wipe, and in stacks I wipe. The only person who has a better positional advantage than me is Cameron at tight end with Mark Andrews, and I think the drop off there from Mark Andrews to Darren Waller is a pretty solid drop off. But he also went 17, 18 picks later. I like my depth. I think Rashad Penny is a really great player in later rounds and is the RB1. He has a couple of big weeks. I gave myself the upside with these players that I got in my last 5 or 6 picks, that if they have good weeks, I can sell high. And that's how I win leagues, is I draft players that have an absolutely immense amount of upside, and I sell high on them for surefire hits, and I go and stack a roster. So I feel good about it. I like Christian Watson, Aaron Rodgers stack. I like Kyler and D-Hop. I like Treylon Burks in the almost 8th round. Like I feel great about it. And then the only thing I didn't do that I messed up tremendously, like I huge F up here, was I didn't get Jamal Williams. I didn't get Shamaji P. Ryan. The reason is I thought this draft was gonna be a little longer. I thought it'd be like 14 or 15 rounds.
Oh,
no. I just didn't look. It was my fault, not yours. But I would have actually, in that situation, I would have not taken Dameon Pierce and Marlon Mack. I would have taken Jamal Williams and Samaje Perine, because I think it's more important to have my handcuffs than it is just some random depth pieces that are never going to play for me, probably.
Right. And theoretically, we would have another, like you said, another 2-3 picks going on in this draft. So, yeah, no, that is, I mean, those guys, Jamal Williams was probably, I don't even know, was he on the board at that point? I could go back.
No, his ADP was 173. Samaje Perine's was 223. So I had them queued the entire time. I would have like for sure got them in the 13th and 14th round. Like those are my next picks. But I don't think any of you guys were looking at them. I don't think. Yeah. So
I always have the thought on Jamal Williams, but I can never talk myself into taking him. But if you have DeAndre Swift on your team, I mean, Jamal Williams is a must-have.
I have to have him. Like it's not even. There's nothing about it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like if I don't get Jamal Williams, my team is screwed. So. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, we'll let the fans and the viewers decide who had the best team. If Max doesn't care, we'll throw his team up on socials tomorrow too, and we'll get a poll going. You can find that on
TikTok.
Insta.
Let TikTok decide. Let Instagram decide. Whatever you guys want to do with it, you guys can put it anywhere.
All right, you got it.
I'm confident in that.
We'll put the poll up. We'll let the people decide. Max, thanks again for hopping on. Thanks for joining us tonight. You're doing a ton with Underdog here. Want to at least give you a few seconds or anything to pitch anything that's going on with them, any drafts you have coming up.
Yeah, so I'm working with Underdog until the end of July, and then contract is up with Underdog. So work with them for the next month. But during that next month, I am going to host like over 100 fantasy football leagues. We have like around 50 right now that I've hosted. So those leagues are either $3 to join or $5. They're super cheap. There's benefits to joining the league besides just like joining a fantasy football league against people who actually want to try. You get to play against me. I'll be in every single league. So if you think you can beat me, I dare you to try. I don't think you can. And 2, there's a giveaway I'm going on with that, which is either tickets to an NFL playoff game with you and your significant other, or you can come with me to a Cardinals one if they make it. But sure, if you don't want to go with me, that's fine. You can go with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. But $1,000 cash at Venmo, and then a PS5, 2 controllers, and a game of your choice. So like around $1,000 value. It costs $3 to join a league or $5 to join a league, depending on the day. And all you have to do though to qualify for that is use my code, which is FFAZ. That's really it though. But it's super simple. Underdog is probably my favorite platform outside of Sleeper for best ball stuff. But I feel pretty good about those. Before we go, I do want to mention one thing that you guys didn't notice that you guys did. All of you guys took a running back in the RB dead zone. Every single one of you guys.
That's true.
And in my opinion, I think that's a wasted pick. So I feel great about my draft. I'm ready to hear TikTok. I'm ready to hear TikTok. Just let me know who won. I'm ready to hear TikTok just flame your guys' teams and just hype me up in the comments. I can already feel it.
Well, we'll let the people decide. Go get in on Max's best ball drafts. Max, when's your next one? Because I've been meaning to hop in on a couple of those.
So like how it works is like there's always one going on. So like best ball drafts, like on Underdog, whenever the league fills is when the draft starts, right? Some people don't know that and they get confused in the auto draft. Whenever a draft fills, you have to like watch it. That's when it starts. So like the first link in my link tree in my bio, that's the link to join the most recent league, and that'll always be updated. So like there's one in there right now that like anybody could join, and then whenever it fills, the draft would start. So it's 24/7 really.
Yep. 100%. And is that not a relevant question? Go get in on those. I'm going to get in on a few of those here in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Max, thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it. We'll close out the podcast here. Make sure to follow Max on all of his socials as well. FantasyFootballAZ on TikTok. I'll let you drop your other socials. I think I could pull them up, but you're going to be quicker.
I mean, they're all in that link tree in my TikToks. It's easier if you guys just go there. But yeah, it's just easy if you guys do that. There's no reason to plug to. But I mean, have you guys have the viewers who are listening? I mean, ask yourself this question. Look in the mirror. Next time you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you get your morning routine done. You shower, you shit, you shave, and look in the mirror and say, did I buy the Fantasy Fellas draft guide?
Oh,
and if the answer is no, there's an issue. There's a genuine issue here. So we got to reevaluate. We got to do better as a fantasy football community. So ask yourself that question.
Now I feel like I have to plug yours. Max has his for $10.
You don't gotta plug it. 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 It's fine. It's fine.
FF Fellas on Twitter, the FF Fellas on Instagram, Fantasy Football Fellas, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. We're I'll check where we're at. Are we right around 85K on TikTok now? I lose count every day.
Are you guys? You guys were. I feel like I just saw you guys at like 70K. So you guys are growing, huh?
We're business is booming, as Antonio Brown was
84K. Yeah, you guys are getting up there.
We're pushing out quality content.
You guys are gonna give me a run for my money pretty soon here.
No, you still double us up, man. You still double us up. So.
No, not anymore.
Fair enough. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Fantasy Football Fellas podcast. We will see you all next week with a couple of divisional breakdowns. Deuces.
Deuces.
Later.